Okay, everyone, and welcome back to the weekend market wrap up with myself, Michael Noss from StatsEdgeTrading. As always, we go through the weekly charts of crypto, FX, just general stock market. I give my ideas for some things that I think I'm going to watch going into next week, which are part of the going to be part of StatsEdge Pro soon. Some algorithms that I run that output stocks, and then I filter based off my eye, which I think of those may do the best, but I'm going to soon be giving access to all of the outputs from these algorithms. So certainly check those out. Now, without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Forgive my voice, it's barely holding together, so this may be a little bit of a quicker one while I just kind of cover highlights. If you are not getting the emails, make sure you go to StatsEdgeTrading.com. I'm doing this thing now where I'm sending out an email every single day with one trade idea, just carefully broken down about why I'm interested in the stock, where I'm interested in it, and all of that. And people seem to like it. So make sure you're going to StatsEdgeTrading.com, sign up for the email list there to make sure that you're not missing those. Now, let's pop into the desktop right here. I don't think I need to necessarily be that large, so we'll shrink me a bit. There we go. So let's always start with Bitcoin here. Continuing kind of down after this failed, move out of the way here, after this failed push. So we got to this all-time high right here on the weekly chart. We came back up to that again. It looked like we were going to break out, and we've now failed from it. So last week was this failed break, and then this week we broke down. I'm looking at the anchored view app. If we go into the daily chart, the anchored view apps from both this all-time high and this low right here. We are below those right now. So unless those can be retaken really, really soon, I may just have to admit that I was not correct about the whole Bitcoin thing. Breaking out here may have gotten kind of sucked in, and it would be time to move on. If that's the case, I may actually look at Ethereum here for a potential short, just because this one overall, if we go to the weekly chart, has been doing the worst. However, if we zoom into the daily chart here, you can see it's still holding the anchored view app from this low right here. So, things to watch for sure. But if Bitcoin is going to fail and push lower, I would imagine every cryptocurrency is going to go with it. Bitcoin's kind of the bellwether, I guess, for lack of a better term, in the crypto space. Now, let's just make sure I have my notes here. Look at some traditional currencies. As always, we're going to start with the DXY. And on the weekly chart here, you can see a small bounce, but still inside this range right here, which is inside this major range right here. And all of these currencies kind of look the same. We had some good strength in the dollar this week, but nothing really. So if we go to, euro, for example, you can see it's just the opposite of that. Broke down all of these major anchored view apps that I'm watching. If the dollar is going to move higher, that may actually be a little bit bearish for stocks overall. Looking at AUD CAD, this is really the only trade idea I'm still watching because this anchored view app from this major high, and it put in this massive topping tail last week and then sold off pretty dramatically. So on the daily chart, you can see that, right, broke, looked like it was a clean break of this area and then crashed right back down into it. So it could be some shorts kind of trapped there as well. Now, taking a look at gold, XAU. Right, gold is continuing. We talked about this in the monthly wrap up. I didn't like this kind of double topping tail that we had here. Switch to candles. Some people like that better. These topping tails that we had here, I didn't really like that too much on the monthly chart. On the weekly chart, we're just putting in this massive base up here. If the base holds and we end up pushing higher, it might be game on for gold. If not, right, this could break. If we break this low right here, that could be a nice little breakdown to come and retest. Now, still bullish on the long-term chart on gold, so any sort of pullback would be something that I would potentially look to buy. Now, if we get into the markets here and we get into the SPY, not the soy, but the SPY, really, for this one, I think the daily chart tells a better tale, where we had a little bit of a gap up and then we just had some sideways chop. Now we have a weird week next week where there's a holiday on Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, the market's open. Wednesday, the market's closed. Thursday, Friday, the market's open. And we're getting into summer. So it could be that, we're starting to see a little bit of a um, starting to see things calm down may totally make sense in the overall market. But even though we had the SPY hold up, if we go to the weekly chart and look like a very, very strong week here, if we start going down the cap scale to MDY, which is our mid caps, that failed. It didn't look very well. If we do IWM, which is our small caps, it looks even worse on small caps, and IWC, which is our micro caps, our little guys, that looks even worse. So none of the sectors really stood out to me this week, but this cap scale kind of differential does, where if you are not in the Qs, if you're not in Nvidia and you're not in this tech play, then things aren't working well for you. So thankfully, as a relative strength guy, I own a fair amount of tech, but the you just got to note that if you're looking at your portfolio and it was red this week, well, everything except big tech basically went down. So what we need is a rotation out of big tech and into the other names in order to keep this bull market healthy. For now, again, there's some things that are a little bit worrisome for me. While we're on the weekly chart, only one thing stood out from the breakout algorithm. So this is looking for areas of resistance that are getting broken cleanly. This is GFL, environmental company. I think they do, yeah, garbage trucks, that kind of stuff. Breaking out of this resistance right here. Nice weekly close there as well. That's from the breakout algorithm. A couple here from the Anchored View app, a pullback one. First one is BBY, which is Best Buy, pulling back to the Anchor View app from its earnings gap right here, holding that nicely. So this play looks interesting to me on BBY. ATMU. Never really heard of this guy before, but where was it? Right here. Yeah, pulling back to this Anchored View app from the swing low. Broke this on Friday, so need to see it reclaim this quickly on Monday on this one. And the last one is MLCO. And MLCO, I had some things that are noted here, but this prior resistance may act as support, and we have an area right here as well for this Anchored View app. So an interesting area around, $7 to $8 could be support, and then maybe that gets us pushing back up to 9, and then who knows after that. So as always, thank you all for coming by. Again, forgive the voice. I have 2 children and they're just germ factories, so they definitely gave me something. Make sure you go to StatsEdgeTrading.com and you sign up for the email list. I will be doing more videos this week. I kind of skipped a lot, or next week. I skipped a lot this week because, right, the voice. So I will talk to you guys soon, and until then, get away from the screens.